Majesty's a really nice girl, but she doesn't have a lot to say. Her Majesty's a really nice girl, but she changes from day to day. Wanna tell her that I love her a lot, but I gotta get a belly full of wine. Her Majesty's a really nice girl, today I'm gonna make her mine. Oh yeah, today I'm gonna make her mine. Hello folks, PC31 here, Mike, and sad days in the UK at the moment where we lost our beloved Queen, and it's affecting things quite a lot in the UK at the moment. I was meant to be playing for my Kinks tribute band, Kink to Live, up in Muswell Hill, North London, in an all-day festival that Ray and Dave Davis were going to attend as well, so it was going to be a fantastic day. We were going to do about an hour and a half set, but understandably that was all cancelled, well, postponed. Hopefully they can do it another time, maybe next year, to celebrate another thing. But that was cancelled today, so sad times. But let's show you what I picked up in August. So picked up quite a lot, and the first thing to show you is 5 CDs. I don't pick up too many CDs, but I picked up 5 good ones, really interesting ones in the month. First one is Def Leppard's Hysteria, which is obviously their biggest selling CD to date. For 1987, Mutt Lange production. Mutt Lange wanted to turn this into kind of a hard rock version of Thriller, and it's a really accessible album, great album for the car actually. This was the last album which featured Steve Clark on guitar, and the first album which Rick Allen did after his awful car accident where he lost his arm. But yes, the Def Leppard's biggest selling album today, and yeah, it's a good one. Second one picked up was the Verve's first album from 1993, their debut album, and A Storm in Heaven. Very, at this stage, the first album, they were very psych, great atmosphere on the album. I love Richard Ashcroft's vocals, I've always been a big fan of his. A couple of singles from it, but very psych, produced by John Leckie. 1993, Verve, Storm in Heaven. Third one, completely different again. The Allman Brothers. I haven't got too much Allman Brothers at all. Not because I don't like them, it's just not a band I've picked up very much of. But this is Brothers and Sisters from 1973, their 4th album. And I think this was the first one after the death of Dwayne. This is quite an interesting one for me because this features Chuck Leavell, who's part of the Rolling Stones family. And I've seen the Stones loads and loads of times, and Chuck Leavell has always been playing keyboards for them. He joined the Stones family in about 1982, so session man, I think, on virtually every Stones record since then, apart from Bridges to Babylon, I think. But yeah, so this is a good album. Ramblin' Man, Jessica, as people in the UK would certainly know from the theme tune of Top Gear. But it's a really nice album to listen to. Enjoy it. Fourth one is one which is Rob at Northern Revolutions always mentions Blue Rodeo, one of his favourite bands. And so I was encouraged to buy this one. Rob actually recommended different ones. This is 5 Days in July. He recommended, sorry about the glare folks, he recommended different Blue Rodeo albums, but this one popped up, so I managed to get this one. This is their 5th album from 1993, 60 minutes worth. 6 singles came from this. It's I think it's their most successful to date. Country rock, very smooth. It's probably kind of a bit too safe for me, if I'm honest. Want a bit more edge, and I think that's what Rob's alluding to actually, because I know this is not his favourite album, but Rob always says this is probably the one that's easier to get into, and it's certainly easily listening. So 5 Days in July, Blue Rodeo. And the final one, absolutely fantastic. I've been after this a long time on vinyl. Still haven't got it on vinyl, but I picked it up on CD. From 1992, B-52's 6th album, Good Stuff. And this is the one where Cindy Wilson took a break to spend some more time with the family. So it's just Keith, Fred and Kate. And it's just such a terrific album. I mean, produced by Nile Rodgers and Don Was. 5 singles came from it. But the vocals on it are absolutely fantastic. Kate singing on it is just sublime. And there's some really infectious tracks. I mean, if you want to... I found myself dancing around like a sado on my own in the room to this. This is just so brilliant to dance to. So, good stuff. B-52s from 1992, their 6th album. So that's the CDs of the month. And from a vinyl point of view, well, let's keep on the same theme. Another album I picked up was Bouncing Off the Satellites, B-52s. This was, I think, the last one with the original lineup. So Ricky Wilson was still on this one before he passed away. So this is the original lineup of Fred, Keith Strickler, and Ricky Wilson, and of course Cindy and Kate. Ricky Wilson did most of the work on this one before he passed away. It was released posthumously, but because he passed away, they didn't do much promotion at all, so I don't actually think it did very well. It's kind of a little bit darker, a few more ballads than most B-52's album, but it's still a strong album. And I think Cosmic Thing took about 3 years after this one for it to arrive, because the B-52s were in no fit state to do it. But yeah, good album, pleased to pick it up, and on the Island label. So next one to show you is a really interesting album actually, which I think in the vinyl community, I'm not sure how well known this would be, especially outside of the UK, but there's a psych band called Kula Shaker, and they released this album on the 10th of June this year, and it's their 6th album. They've had a few big gaps in their time. I remember getting their debut album in 1996, and it was a fantastic debut album. So very psych, great guitar work. They use Indian instruments. They've always got this kind of Hindu theme behind them. But this particular album is fantastic. It's called The First Congregational Church of Eternal Love and Free Hugs. Rolls off the tongue. But it's a great album. Cosmic Brian would absolutely love this album. I think Rod, the happy hippie guy, there's quite a few folks actually in the vinyl community who I think would really enjoy this. It's not a perfect album. There are some weak moments, but the whole theme of it is kind of set in a little village church in Little Sodbury, near a couple of miles from Bath in the UK. And you've got some narration by the local reverend about leaky roofs and various things, and then they go into these fantastic 60s psych guitar songs. Really powerful stuff. It is terrific. The vicar who's doing the narration is the lead singer, Crispin Mills, the lead vocalist and lead guitarist. And Crispin Mills was basically the son of Hayley Mills and the grandson of the great Sir John Mills. But this is an album I really would recommend listening to, because it's very strong, not perfect, but very strong. The artwork is amazing. Don't know how much you can see there. Lots of Indian things, lots of American Civil War, clowns, Spitfires, all manner of things. On the back, you've got the Marx Brothers. You've got the 4 Marx Brothers there appear. You've got the band themselves there. But the artwork is absolutely amazing. Really is something beautiful. To show you a little bit more, I'm never very good at opening these things up, but there's the band there. This is Crispin Mills. The band been together, I say, since the early 90s. 6 albums, and this is a very, very strong album. Kula Shaker. Really worth listening to. So, next one is picked up another one by The Pretenders, their 3rd album from 1984, Learning to Crawl. And this was The Pretenders' 3rd album, the first one without James Honeyman Scott and Pete Farndon, and who both passed away before this. Produced by Chris Thomas. Chris Thomas, obviously, of Nevermind the Bollocks production fame, and he did the first 2 Pretenders albums as well. But he was attached to kind of, engineered on the White Album, Dark Side of the Moon, fantastic pedigree. some of the songs on this, you've got Thin Line Between Love and Hate, great track. Not too many singles. I think only perhaps one single came with this one. Here we go. Oh, Back on the Chain Gang, yeah. Middle of the Road, 2,000 Miles. There's a picture of Chrissy there with a Telecaster. But yeah, Learning to Crawl, another really strong album from the Pretenders. So, next one up is my favourite shoegaze band, Slowdive, which I picked up during the month. And they had about a 22-year hiatus. This is their fourth album from 2017. But as I say, I think it had been about 22 years since their last album. Their first one since Slovakia in 1993. But yeah, 5-piece shoegaze. I really like Slowdive because for me, they tend to be a bit more structured than, say, My Bloody Valentine, who they've got great atmosphere in their songs, but there's still structure, there's still kind of songs behind it. So I really enjoy them. Yeah, 5-piece band and Slowdive from 2017. Richard McCook did a Talking Heads ranking a little while ago, and I remember watching that, and he went through he ranked the 8 Talking Heads albums. So that's if you haven't seen that video of Richard McCook's, I'd recommend that one. This one for him came in at number 8, Naked, their 8th and final album from 1988. And I kind of agree with Richard, actually. It's a decent album. It's not one of their top albums, but it's still strong. There's some good tracks on it. Talking Heads, you know, there's no bad albums, but also I think like some bands, there's not one big standout album which is a killer album. They're all quite strong, different but strong, and this is one of them. And so 8th and final album, 1988, Naked, from Talking Heads. Next one is, as folks who've seen my channel before tend to know, I'm a huge fan of Nick Cave and Warren Ellis's original soundtracks. And this is one I picked up in a month, The Snow Leopard. And this is basically a documentary which they did the soundtrack to. And it's fantastic. I mean, the way they capture the imagery, the kind of isolation, the cold crispness of the Tibetan mountain range, the Tibetan plateaus, where the documentary makers are following the snow panther. They capture it so well. And again, the artwork on this, just absolutely fantastic. Beautiful music. There's some passages in there which really make the eyes water. Absolutely fantastic. This is the card that's inside, where you see the snow leopard there. Beautiful artwork to go with the stunning music. I love Nick Cave and Warren Ellis's original soundtracks. I think they're absolutely fantastic. I always get those. The next one needs absolutely no introduction at all, and basically it's one which I had in my collection for a long time. And like a lot of us, when I went through the big purge way back in the late 80s, early 90s, whenever it was, this one disappeared, and I got it again. And it's the 7th album from Rush, Permanent Waves, from 1980. And interestingly enough, I saw them on this tour at the Hammersmith Odeon in London. Got the programme, kept the programme all this time, but got rid of the record at some point. So anyway, that's now back in the collection. That's the one with Spirit and Jacob's Free Will on it. So the next one which Steve Carson's mentioned a couple of times, a band, Pere Ubu. And they're an interesting band. They're kind of a bit like Sonic Youth for me, where I've got to be in the mood to listen to them and really enjoy them. But this is a live album from 1976 to 79, and it's recorded gigs basically in Cleveland, London and Brussels. Pere Ubu live, 390 degrees of simulated stereo, which is what it's called. This is on yellow vinyl, nice. yeah, live recording. All the tracks come from Modern Dance, which was their debut album and I think their best album, and from Data Panic, an EP they released. Steve Carlson has mentioned these quite a few times and he describes them really well. The main interest for me with Pere Ubu is that one of my favourite post-punk bands, Concert Angels, they were very influenced by these guys, so that makes me interested in them. And but as I say, it's got to be in the mood. They're quite experimental, very, very edgy, but worth a listen. Next one is an album which was released after the band split up, and that's the Southern Death Cult. And these were amazing album, amazing band actually, because they started as Southern Death Cult way back in late 70s. This album's I think it's from 83, and this is an original on the Beggars Banquet label I've picked up. But this is basically just a collection of outtakes, demos, live work they got together because the band had already split up. And of course, after this, the Southern Death Cult, only Ian Astbury went on to the next band, but the next band was called Death Cult for a short while, and then they dropped the Death and they just become Cult. But the only, as a comparison between Southern Death Cult and Cult is Ian Astbury on vocals. But this is the very first album released after the band split up, and it was a catch up of all their outtakes and demos and live work, as I say. Very gothic, very post-punk, but it's an interesting album. Now the next one, Rod the Happy Hippie Guy and JT's Record Room will be probably quite outraged that this is my virgin territory for me, but this is the first album I've ever owned of the Grateful Dead. Unbelievable, I know. But this is the triple album. This is the Europe 72 one. And I actually asked the guys what's a jumping in point, and they kind of both suggested this was quite a good one. 17 tracks, as I say, triple album. The Dead recorded the entire 72 tour in Europe. And so this is tracks from all, from different venues, from the Empire Paul Wembley, from the Lyceum in London, Denmark, Germany, France. And it was a really, really successful selling album. It was a huge one for the Dead. It's not completely live, I don't think, because I know there were some overdubs on the vocals. There was some tightening up with the vocals, but it's a really enjoyable album, and it's a good introduction because there's lots of Dead classics actually on it. Okay, and the last pickup this month, folks, is basically whoops, 1 second. Oh, I made a few notes on this one. Courtney Barnett, Things Take Time. Courtney Barnett, sorry. And I've been wanting to get one of her albums for a while now because I've seen quite a lot of her on YouTube, and everything I've seen so far I've really enjoyed. This is their third album from 2021. About 4 singles come from it. She's from Ben Rankin's territory, Melbourne in Australia. And this is interesting because Courtney's basically done all the instruments. She's recorded all the instruments on this album, apart from, I think, drums and a little bit of piano, which Stella this is why I've got the notes, Mozgawa produced. And Stella is actually from Warpaint, from the Californian four-piece all-girl band, who I really like, actually. But yeah, 4 singles from this, and there's some very, very strong tracks. Ray Street, Before You Gotta Go. Good album. I've wanted one of Courtney's albums for a while now, and this is very enjoyable. So that's it, folks. As I say, sad times in the UK at the moment, but and my buying will be quite lean in September because there's so many box sets coming out that I need to put the pennies away for. So I don't think I should get much individual vinyl, but I think you'll find the Kinks will appear, Joe Strummer will appear, and maybe a bit of Slade as well, and maybe a bit of Rory Gallagher. So it's going to be a very expensive month for box sets. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Bye.